true indeed with you, Holy Circle Gaming. Thank you for rocking with your boy like always. Definitely a privilege and honor to do as such. Y'all see what we're getting into. It's Gems of War. We're continuing the series. Something that was presented to me earlier in one of my threads. This is a response to my man Solus, part of the Burning Legends 2 squad. He's the one who actually presented this to me, so I want to kind of address it a little bit while I'm getting my game on. I'm actually going to run some PvP, just let you know I'm running my human team, Corvash, running Essence of Evil, Holy Saint Astra, and Voice of Orpheus is the team I'm running currently with the Plague Lord. So I can give some Plague Lord a little bit of run while I'm running this, of course. I could actually sub out Plague Lord and put another weapon there. I'm just running Essence of Evil there and Plague Lord. I could actually switch it out for something different, but that's how we're rolling. But back to what I was going to talk about. So in this discussion, I'm going to talk about this for a little bit. I'm going to have to go to work in a little bit. This is my work day. I apologize. I didn't get a chance to get on the last couple of days. I was working on my computer setup to get my stream a little bit more solid. So the one thing about YouTubers, he's made a statement and said, Solus made a statement and said YouTubers are good and like the best thing and the worst thing for gaming. Now, you know, that's kind of a pretty difficult conversation to have because I could see both sides to that spectrum. I could see it being the worst for gaming and I could see it being the best for gaming. And, you know, to a degree, he's not necessarily off base or wrong, but to a degree, I could say that he's completely wrong because there's a few things in that mix that causes a little bit of a problem for me. And here's one of them. When you're talking about it's the worst for gaming, let's go in reverse. Why is being a YouTuber or a streamer or a content creator bad for gaming? It's because in certain respects, the content creators can be used as catalysts to push good ideas and bad ideas that are caused by the gaming companies who are trying to push certain elements or certain aspects of a certain game into fruition, even though it's a completely bad idea. But if you have content creators push that idea and make it seem like it's a good idea, then that kind of poses a problem. Here's what I mean in regards to that. Now, with the content I was referring to, it was a couple of days ago, I was talking about content about how in this game you can make the arena better and how arena is a lot like Madden in that regard where you could go ahead and, you know, have different characters where like in the Madden Ultimate Team where, you know, you could build your whole team up, but the problem is in order to build your team up, you got to pay a bunch of money in order to make that happen. Now, the problem with said conversation piece is that, you know, the only reason why Madden Ultimate Team really works, and I didn't really go to a lot of detail, but I will go to it now. The reason why Madden Ultimate Team works is simply because in Madden Ultimate Team, that's where a lot of the competition is played. You know, competition football, when you see it in like the Madden tournaments and stuff, you're not playing with like your regular base teams of the 49ers or your base team of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or, you know, teams like that. It used to be like that. It used to be back in the day. That's the only way you could play because Ultimate Team wasn't a big thing at the time. So it was basically you just take a team, you run with said team, you run with said playbook, and you go from there. That's how you used to play it back in the day. Now, fast forward into now where everything is kind of based upon like the Madden Ultimate Team in particular. Now with Madden Ultimate Team, to get some of the characters and some of the players that you need to make that cook, you know, you got to do one of two things. You either got to play so many games and invest in so much time into the game to just get a chance to get those said players, or you got to put in a lot of money and invest a lot of cash to try to jumpstart your team and still put in the time and still get lucky, by the way, to get the same said players. Because a lot of people, even though they could be really good and a lot of people would invest the time into doing as such, but there's a lot of characters in the game, especially in Madden in particular, that you cannot get unless you pull them from a pack. You can't just say, look, well, I want this Michael Vick card, for example, and pull it and be able to play for that said Michael Vick card. You actually have to pull it, and that's the only way you could do it. And the ratio in which you have to pull that card is going to be a very small ratio, kind of like what you get in Gems of War, a 1 out of 1,000, or maybe a little bit more than that. So you got to invest a lot of money and get real lucky in order to invest into these cards to give yourself a chance to get these said characters, to get to the point where you're even remotely competitive in order to play in these tournaments that people can make bigger money on. But here's how that kind of works in the favor or not in the favor of your casual player. See, your casual player sees all these, you know, tournaments and stuff on Twitch, YouTube, amongst other things, and they see that the only way that I could compete is if I invest set amount of money into competing in order for my team to match up with their team, so my team could be as unique as somebody else's team, in order for me to actually compete and give myself a chance to win with no real kickback, by the way, because there's a lot of people who do not, you know, for all the people you say who are YouTubers and Twitch streamers and stuff, there is a much more of a percentage that are not that, but they still invest money on top of money on top of money in order for that to happen. And that is a bad thing, because that all that does is fuel these game companies to say that, oh, well, I could go ahead and get these people to spend X amount more money into this game simply because they want to do something better than promote it as a tournament. And then you could say that, oh, well, this money is here, you invested this money into this particular product just to make sure you get a team together to make you even feel remotely competitive, so you could actually play against other people, because people will be willing to invest and spend the money. EA is a big proponent of this. 2K is a much bigger culprit of this. Let me bring it into a game like you see here. Now, in a game like Gems of War, you know, the crazy thing is that Gems of War takes a lot of ideas from a lot of other companies, thinking that they could capitalize on kind of the similar momentum. That's the reason why you have the campaign mode. Campaign mode came about simply because they saw what you saw in Fortnite, what you saw in Smite, and some of these other games, and said, look, you know, in order to get these said skins or whatever it may be, you have to go with this particular format, pay this X amount of money just so you can get involved and give yourself a chance to get these little cosmetics in the game. Not just characters, just sometimes it's just literally the cosmetics of characters, which is kind of worse in that regard, because just to get something to make one of your characters look better doesn't affect the gameplay. Nope. Just to make your character look better. So you can say that my character is unique in how it looks, and I'm one of the rare people who have it. But you just can't just play for it. You have to buy into the pass and then play for it just so you could get it. But the thing is that you cannot get these said packs no place else. You can't just play and say, oh, well, in Fortnite I could win 100 matches and get this character set. Nope, can't do that. The only way you can do it is by playing these said same matches, and then you have to go ahead and invest. And the reason why that this actually works is because there is a bunch of YouTubers, you could thank Ninja and some of these YouTubers and Twitch streamers who got involved and said, I'm going to do this to make it a point. Now, do companies make it a point to kind of negotiate these facts with these with these YouTubers and Twitch users? Absolutely. And part of it is that the YouTubers actually came to them. You know, it's not like the gaming companies reached out to all these people. A lot of times what happened was the YouTubers reached out to them and said, look, I invested so much money into this game, can you give me a little bit of kickback here? And then in that regard, they said, yeah, we'll give you a little something, we'll give you a little bit of kickback and stuff for it. And so that's what they did. But that's where I could see where Solus is right, where it's bad, because the gaming companies is using their platform as a game to run through these YouTubers and Twitch streamers to make it to make these ideas come to fruition, to make you try to spend more and more money on stuff that's not even necessarily worth it, or the cost per investment would be that you're not getting that money back in 9 times out of 10. A lot of people who play aren't getting the money back. The people who are major YouTubers and major Twitch streamers and major players and major pros who so happen to be really good even with the teams assembled are the one who are getting the kickback, because they get the money back from people watching them and sponsorships and all this stuff. So they get that money back 9 times out of 10. But even then, you're still talking thousands upon thousands of dollars that these people are investing to. So I understand why it could be bad. Now, it's just like in Gems of War. Let me get to that point. I kind of got off of it a little bit, but let me get back to that point. In Gems of War, if Gems of War made it in a campaign mode where the doomed character, Enraged Karandra, was the only way that you could get the Enraged Karandra is that you had to pay the money to get that Enraged Doom. You couldn't build it. Nope. You couldn't craft it. Nope. You couldn't go into Soul Forge and craft. Let's say it wasn't in the Soul Forge. Let's say the only way that you could get that Enraged Karandra is that you had to pay the $10 or whatever it may be. So let's say $10 to go through the campaign mode, play through the complete campaign mode in order to get said character. Would y'all actually do it? And would y'all do all the work and effort to pay the $10 to actually do as such? Certain people will, certain people wouldn't. Because, and again, in a free-to-play model, you're actually playing for a character that is good. It's probably one of the better characters in the game, but and even then, that's even has some use to it because as an actual character, something that's actually tangible to the game. But would you actually do that? If there was a mythic, well, there is mythics. So there's a mythic in the campaign. So if you actually look at the campaign and see that there is a mythic sitting there, would you be willing to pay for the said mythic if you could not pull for it down the line? That's the question that you're running into. Because a lot of times is that in the campaign, you have a mythic sitting there. So there's a mythic. So in this instance, it's the Pharaoh Nefertiti. So would you actually pay the $10, to get that particular mythic if it wasn't available any other way? Now, the good thing about Gems of War in particular is that they didn't go completely sideways with this particular, with the particular campaign mode to say that, this is the only way you could get said character. Because I think if this was the only way you could get said character, then a lot of times, a lot of people would actually have to have invested that $10 in order to get said character. But knowing that you can kind of pull it down the line, maybe it's 2 months down the line, 3 months down the line, maybe it's a month down the line, whatever it may be. But knowing that you actually have a chance to pull for the character, and even furthermore, you could probably craft the character down the line, it kind of negates what they're doing in the campaign mode. But let's say, for instance, that you could only get it this way. Would you invest the $10? That's one question. So you will have to be the one to answer that for yourself. So that's one thing you would have to consider in that mix. Now, the other thing you would have to consider in that mix is this. Let's say that, people who stream Gems of War in particular, people who talk about Gems of War in particular, say myself, I'll put myself in that mix even though I'm not a major, but let's say myself, your Rels, your Loot Wizards, Cynicals, amongst others who are the major players as far as like promoting Gems of War, says that, instead of us saying that, nah, we're cool on investing the $10 into the game, we turn around and say, look, we're putting the $10 into the game, we're getting the rewards, we're getting all this stuff strictly to get this particular character, which is actually useful in order to make the game cook. And then with that, we will be the voice boxes for 505 to say that we're the ones who are talking about how the campaign mode should work, how it should cook, how that should go. And even though it may not be completely viable for everybody else, it could be viable for some. That's one way, believe it or not. If they actually wanted to get the campaign to cook, one of the things that if they want a campaign to cook, one of the things that 505 Games could easily do is say, look, we're going to put this character in this game. We're going to put this character out, and the only way you could get said character is by going through the campaign mode. It would change a lot of people's perspectives off rip. That's one. But let's make it worse. Let's say that they wanted to do this for a skin of your character, meaning that, let's say instead of your character having a particular armor, let's say it had like a feral armor that you can only get the armor, which doesn't have any perks or anything. It just makes your character look different. Would you actually get it? Would you actually go through it? Because guess what? That's what they do in Fortnite. You're not playing for things that are tangible within the game. You're playing for skins of stuff in the game. That's the trippy thing behind that. You're not playing for, stuff that's tangible to make your team better. You're playing for skins of stuff. And the only reason why it gets pushed is simply because that's the only way to get said perks and to make your characters look better. So instead of your character looking all plain all the time, they build on the momentum of people bopping in and going through these said little campaigns or whatever they want to call these things, and saying that we are going to do this and we're going to push this and see how it works. And it's because of YouTubers and Twitch streamers who actually pump and promote this. It's the way that they get these ideas across, and that's the way a lot of these companies make their money. Warzone with Call of Duty is no different. They jumped on the bandwagon, used the same formula, and actually worked out just fine for them. They're actually no different than anybody else. So, and you will see more and more of this as Warzone progresses, because again, a lot of the stuff that they get is more cosmetic too. But a lot of people like cosmetics. The only problem is, as the games turn over and as the games kind of evolve and change and get better, those cosmetics is only for a period of time. At least with Madden and the Ultimate Team, to a degree, even though it's so hard to get a lot of those characters, it takes a lot to get as such. And the crazy thing behind it is that you could actually get away with getting a lot of this stuff and it's tangible, whereas in other aspects it's not really a tangible thing. You may see these things, and a lot of times these games, especially for your Maddens and your sports games, these games are on a year-to-year basis. FIFA in itself, from selling the title in itself, they make money, as well as Madden, some other games, 2K. They make money off of the game sales themselves, but more importantly, they make tons more money. Their value is literally based upon how much of these coins and stuff they sell to actually people to get their Ultimate Team, or in the case of 2K, just to get your character better, instead of people working to build their character just to get their basketball player up to speed fast enough. People will spend the extra $30-$40 against the $60 that they paid. So now they're $60 games, not a $100 game, in order so they could just play online against other people. That's really what it comes down to. Now, thankfully, in a smaller game like this, you don't have to deal with those issues, but I understand where I can see where gaming from a YouTuber, streamer's point of view can be viewed as a bad thing, because, as a content creator, a lot of times, when gaming companies come to you, you kind of push on ideas and thoughts of certain companies and certain gaming companies. Those ideas are bad. I remember when I was doing my Madden streams and stuff, a lot of the content I was doing with my Madden streams was because of the pack pulls and stuff, and people did watch just to see what characters I would get, and so I would get views in that regard. So it does work. And as far as getting views and stuff, because people want to see if you actually are able to pull said card or said character. People want to see if you get said said weapons. Just like when you're playing this game, people want to see if I actually do a key pull session. People want to see if you actually get said mythic or not, or to get a mythic, because they want to see if it's actually possible, what the numbers is, what the ratio is. Not necessarily craft it, but they want to see if you can actually pull it. That's kind of the fun in the game itself. It's the randomness of the game. That's what makes the game fun. The problem with that is if you kind of push that notion and say, look, the only way you can get certain characters if you have to pay for it, I don't know if that's a good thing. You know, as a content creator, for me, I don't know if it's, you know, I know it could be beneficial for me to kind of push in that regard, but in the same token, it's bad for a lot of other people who don't content create, who's not making no money off of this, who is just playing the game for the game. This is why when I made it a point to play this game in particular, I said that off rip I wasn't going to invest any additional money into the game. It was the same approach I took with Marvel Puzzle Quest, and you can see any of my footage. I didn't invest the extra money. The only reason why I got VIP points in this game now is because it was something that was free on the PlayStation that they gave out off rip. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't even have any VIP points, to be honest with you. But the only reason why I have it is simply because, you know, it was basically given to me like off rip. So now the flip side of the coin is exactly this. You know, is YouTubing good for gamers? Yes, there's a lot of good things that came about with this. You know, with the gamers being able to have their format in which they could play, whether it's like content creators showing certain games off, you know, a lot of people wouldn't play a lot of these type games if it wasn't for YouTubers and content creators and Twitch streamers. That's just the honest answer. Not just that, a lot of games. There's a lot of games that's getting introduced and promoted all the time simply because there is content creators who is actually either reaching out to said companies, and companies are going out and saying like, look, can you like give our game a little bit of run? We'll give you some copies. We'll give you away some copies just to give this game some run, because a lot of games that are really, really good will not see the light of day if it wasn't for content creators. That's one. Because as good as the game may be, you wouldn't know anything about it. Most people wouldn't know about Solasta. Solasta, I think that's the new game that just came out. I think it's Solasta. That just came out a couple of days ago. You wouldn't know anything about that game, and the reason why you wouldn't know anything about that game is because if you didn't see it on Twitch or anything, then you wouldn't know anything about it. It's basically like it's a turn-based Dungeons and Dragons type deal. Plays more like Baldur's Gate than anything else, but a super duper fire game. You know, but it's very difficult. It's not easy, but if you like, you know, turn-based RPGs, in which those are the types of games I do like, I would probably wind up playing it now simply because I saw somebody else play it and I didn't even know anything about the game. So it wasn't like they're going to pay for like commercials like they did back in the day for you to like, well, let me see this commercial of this game. You know, you notice that you don't really see a lot of commercial for video games. You used to. Back in the day, you used to see your Mario commercials, your all that stuff, because companies would pay a bunch of money for like your Marios, and you know, for Nintendo to promote Mario or for Sega to promote Sonic the Hedgehog or whatever it may be. You know, you had a lot of commercials, so you had it very polarizing. I mean, the bigger companies, you see like a Madden commercial or 2K commercial or Call of Duty commercial, you'll see them pay for spots, but 9 times out of 10, the way that they're getting their eyes on their game is like, look, Call of Duty, they put out a beta, the beta's played by Twitch streamers get other people to play along with them, they figure out the game is good, or if it's buns, whatever way it goes, if it's good, it's good, if it's buns, it's buns, and then that's how these games come about. People play Gems of War is not because a lot of times like few people stumbled upon it when it first came out. I stumbled upon it. You know, I was playing some other match 3 games. I saw it on my PlayStation Network and I stumbled upon the game. I didn't like get the game like outright. I stumbled upon it, realized that it was good, started streaming it back in the day, stopped, and now I came back into it. But a lot of people wouldn't even know about this game if it wasn't for like YouTubers and Twitch streamers. So that's the good thing behind it, because there's a lot of games that sees the light of day and gets chances simply because there's a YouTube and Twitch stream component to it. So there is a lot of good things for gaming. Competitive gaming, you know, whether it's like, you know, playing like your playing like your Mortal Kombat, your Street Fighters, and all that stuff. The reason why they could put all this money up for the pro gaming league is simply because you have people who pushes this stuff all the time, and it's really content creators, the ones who are actually watching, playing, betting, whatever y'all doing in regards to it. Those are the ones who are actually pushing and promoting said games. League of Legends, Dota, games like that. Hearthstone. Hearthstone got a lot of shine simply because it wasn't because it was a bad game. It was because it was a really good game. You know, another game that got a lot of shine that otherwise wouldn't have? Teamfight Tactics. For a good period of time, you know, got a lot of run simply because YouTubers and Twitch streamers made it as such to show that, oh, it's a good game, and made it actually viable. It was one of those Twitch rival games. Twitch rival said, oh, we'll give us some run. We'll have our major Twitch streamers play, because they were playing it anyway. They wanted to run it as a competition, and so they went ahead and done it as such. So that's the beauty of having like YouTubing and Twitch streaming in play, simply because, you know, when you have, you know, a lot of people pushing and promoting said games, it gives you the thing of, well, I may give this some run because it looks like it's a fun game. It looks like it's a game that's probably right up my alley. That's the reason why a lot of people play games off rip, is because there's content creators like myself, like others, who do similarly to what I do in order to push and promote said game. Because 9 times out of 10, people wouldn't even look at, if the game wasn't that good or the personality wasn't that good, you wouldn't even look at the content in itself. But you know, it kind of goes both ways. So gaming is good, and you know, gamers and content creators are good, and there could be bad to a degree. But it really comes down to what we push, what we promote, what we're good at, what we like, what we're willing to invest. A lot of the times, what we do as a consumer point of view, we see that if others are doing it, we have to do it. In certain games, like in the case of a Madden, in the case of some of these other games, yes, in order to play Madden at a high level, yes, you're going to have to invest a lot of money into it, because you're going to play Ultimate Team. And basically, Madden kind of structured their game simply around Ultimate Team. In playing 2K, the hardest thing about playing 2K is, like, if you're playing by yourself, you're just playing like your created character and just playing against a computer all the time. That's one thing, and people kind of play like that. But when you want to play against other people at a high level, you gotta play, you know, you gotta be able to create your own team, or you gotta create your own character in order for you to compete. And a lot of time, people don't want to have the time to actually create said character. They're gonna have to go ahead and put up the said money. And for me, I always look at the cost value. So as a consumer, you know, you can look at me and say that, look, well, I'm a YouTuber, I'm a Twitch streamer, you know, I could be on either side of the equation. But on the same token, I always say that, look, I play as if I am one of you. I don't put a bunch of money in a game. I don't make money. I don't have companies knocking down my door to say to push or promote said games. And even if they did, there's still going to be certain things that I will still reach out to them and say that, look, this may be an idea, this may be a way to fix it. I don't want to kind of, you know, gouge, you know, things like that. You know, there's ways to go about it. And that's the reason why not everybody gets the push and plug and the promo like some of these other people do. It's because a lot of times they, you know, a lot of YouTubers and Twitch streamers, they've been doing it for a while. They've been pros. They put a bunch of money into the game. And so these companies say, look, since you put a bunch of money into the game, we're going to kick in and actually let you put some, you know, give some of this back to you. That's really where this came about. But the problem that you run into is that you have to look at it from the perspective of yourself. Are you willing to put in said money? Like if you're playing Gems of War in particular, are you going to be a VIP? Do you want to spend like the $50 and $60 for like some of the stuff that you see here? They give you offers all the time. And for you to get some of the bigger offers, guess what you got to be? You got to be a VIP level 6 in order to just get certain offers. And that's not to get those actual keys. That's the crazy thing about this. You don't get these keys if you are a VIP level 6. You get the offer just so you can pay more gems to get this. You know, you could get your monthly and pay your, pay your monthly $20 a month. There's certain people who do, and this is no knock against any of the YouTubers and Twitch streamers and all the people who play Gems of War who actually have done this, who actually pays the $19 a month, or who paid the $50 to get certain, to get certain like mythics, or get certain like legendaries, or whatever it may be. You could do that, but as a player who's not really getting the cost value back for it, do you want to put that money up? For me, that answer was no, and I'm on camera. I wasn't going to put that money up, and this is no knock against 505. This is a great game, and the 505 came to me and said, well, I want to offer you something in regards to like a promotion deal or whatever, and but I want you to go ahead and make sure that you're this particular VIP or promote this campaign or whatever it may be. We would have to have that conversation, but part of that is I play it like you do. I don't invest additional money into the game unless I have to. That was my thing about Madden. The way I played Madden is I played it with the no additional money team. How I play Madden. I play 2K, no additional money. I will play with the team that I kind of pull and all that stuff, and I will work my way through to make my teams work, to make my ultimate teams work, to make my creative player work. I will work and play through them before I would actually put the extra money into it, because the cost value of that game is, I don't want to have a game that I paid $60 off top and then put an additional 100, 200, 300. Some of these people is putting thousands of dollars into this game. I done seen people play. I was watching people play FIFA, and they're just ripping packs and ripping packs and ripping packs. Now, it is beneficial to them because they got people who are watching them. They're probably sitting on 5,000 people or so. So that money's liquid to them. They got to spend that money anyway. But if you're not making said money, or if you're not generating that type of money to actually throw that additional money towards these things just so you could kind of play, then I wouldn't do it. That's just me. But that's kind of the good and the bad, because again, YouTubers and Twitch streamers, they have a lot of influence. They show you a lot of different games. They play a lot of different stuff that most people wouldn't even play, and that actually benefits some of these smaller companies. Shout out to my Squadron, Obsidian. A lot of the time, a lot of the reason why they got their deal with Microsoft is because they were playing this game called Pillars of Eternity 1 and 2, and this so happened to be two fire games that came out of their camp, and people were playing it, and they were promoting it, and they were pushing it, and they were doing a lot of different things in that regard. But the problem with it is that, even they said that we could only do so much with that game, and because they could only do so much with the game, that was the only reason why that they couldn't make the game the way that they really, really want to. But once Microsoft saw that, oh, they're a good company, we're trying to do something here, it's mutually beneficial for us to pick them up, give them some extra resources to make the game that they want. We get a top flight company. This is the same company that did Fallout New Vegas, by the way. They were able to push and promote. But how were they able to get Pillars of Eternity off the ground? It's because they had YouTubers and content creators say that this is a top flight game, and when they started reviewing said game, the reviews came in, it's like, oh yeah, it's a solid 8 out of 10. Very easily. Very, very, very easy. And that's the reason why, it's important to have YouTube, Twitch streamers, content creators go in and do their thing. Because there's certain games and certain companies that would not see the light of day because of it. Fortnite would not see the light of day, not in its form, if it wasn't for like content creators pushing and promoting. Rogue Company, amongst others, Smite's another game that probably wouldn't see a lot of run because of it. There's a lot of games that wouldn't see a lot of run simply because you don't have people doing the content creation for them to make it worth it. Now, I get you. I get you, Solus. I get your sentiment. You know, this is the reason why, you know, I could push in multiple different ways. Yes, for me personally, I will tell you my particular take. You are right and you are wrong, and I will actually write this in more detail as we go along. But I'm giving you my video answer to what I'm going to write to you a little bit later in the comment sections. I just want to let you know that I actually do read my comments, and I actually do see what's going on. I actually do respond. I just thought that this was a good enough topic to actually talk about, because I could go in for another probably hour to an hour and a half strictly on this alone, because it's actually a good conversation piece. YouTube, you know, YouTubers, Twitch streamers, content creators are good, and it can be bad, but I think it's really what it comes down to is really up to each content creator to really find the right moral ground to still be able to make money, but still be able to talk and be able to talk about games and content in the proper way. It's games that are good, you got to be willing to go into the fire and say, look, when something is not right, you got to be able to jump in and say it's not right. You got to be able to jump in and say there's certain things good and bad about the game. This is the reason why I said, and I made my post and my stream a couple of days ago about this game and the arena. The arena could be great. It really could be it could be the most viable thing in here. Their PvP could be in Gems of War could be the two most viable things in the game if they made a couple of corrections to it. The problem is that, you know, to make said correction requires money, which they're trying to get. I just don't know if the way that they're going about getting it is the right way, because all they're doing is taking what everybody else has done and trying to duplicate those ideas and seeing if those ideas work, like with the campaign mode and with the VIP and stuff. All that is just a rehash of somebody else's idea, which so happens to work for them, but it may not work for 505, because there's certain things that they are not doing to, like, in essence, they're not trying to force that concept on there. And that's the one thing I like about 505. And, you know, if they actually get a chance to see this content, you know, I would tell them, look, this is one of the things I like. They don't force that concept of you have to pay for said game. You know, you have to pay for this additional content, whereas other games is really blatant and is really forced upon, where you actually have to do it in order to compete, because it's very easily that they could turn this narrative around and say that they could, but 505 made it a point to not bring this into fruition at this point in time. But they could actually flip modes and say, look, here's the way you get your mythics from now on. They're gonna take them out the Soul Forge and you have to just play the campaigns in order to get them. They just haven't got there yet, but they could. But it's definitely a good concept. I will kind of write this down more. If y'all want to talk about this more, we definitely can. But it's definitely a very good concept to really talk about. I think it's a good thing to kind of push and promote and see. But it's very tough in the same conversation piece, because I think that you could very easily go one way or another. But as a content creator, as a YouTuber, as a Twitch streamer, I don't even do this full time, but as I am one of them, since I do it consistently, I consider myself to be one of them. I would say this: we are good for the community 90% of the aspects of it. There is 10% of it where we could be seen as bad, but that's in everything. But you got to understand that in this instance, you know, the good outweigh the bad. But the one thing as a consumer I will always say is that you have to evaluate everything that is being said by every single content creator, by what you feel, by what you believe, by what your thought process is, by what your ideas are. If you feel that you don't want to invest money into a particular game, or you don't like particular concepts of the game, you as a consumer, as a player, have to step up and actually be the ones to champion this. The one other point I will make about, you know, content creators being a good thing. Content creators are the ones who build a community of people who actually play. I've always been under the premise that every person is a gamer. You just gotta find the right game for them to play. You know, we've been gaming since the days of Monopoly, since the days of craps, since the days of playing poker or blackjacks. We've been gaming. We are built upon playing games of chance, playing games of luck, playing games of skill, playing Scrabble, playing Sorry, playing, you know, Battleship. Before we got into the computer age of things, we were playing games way before then. We have always been gamers. And so being able to have people whom you could see and watch and say, look, they play a game like me. What can I learn from them? Can I connect with them? Am I going to be cool with them? If I met this person in real life, would I be cool with them? That's what the community has brought. That's what I look to do. I look to kind of, you know, help bridge the community of gamers and whatever game I'm playing, to bridge that community together to say, look, I am just like one of you. I'm no different. I'm not gloating to be the best game player in the world. I'm decent, but I ain't the best player in the world. I'll be the first to tell you. But I will tell you that I am very relatable. I'm a very good person to hang around with. And this is why I said, rock with your boy, man. Rock with your boy. You know, because for what I do, I just like to bring the concepts and ideas out there. I like to be the voice box of what y'all thinking. And I'll be very interested to see what more that y'all will think about, you know, YouTubers and Twitch streamers being good and bad. Because I think that 90% of it is actually a good thing. 10% of it is bad. I know I talked a lot about the bad stuff, about, you know, gamers and YouTubers and, you know, people promoting the wrong things and throwing a bunch of money into these companies in which they really don't have to, you know, but they choose to. And a lot of times they may be forced to, simply because this is what people want to see. People want to see pack pulls. People want to see these things. So they're kind of in a box to actually give people what they want to see, and that does require dropping extra money in order for it to happen. People want to see in certain games the best characters and the best cards. The only way you can see that is if sometimes you got to put the money up for it, and I understand that too. In a game like this here, you don't necessarily have to. You just got to just play. You got to get a little bit lucky. You got to play. You got to be able to craft. That's really what it comes down to when you're playing Gems of War in particular. But there's other games where it's not necessarily like that. I don't want Gems of War to get to that point. I like where Gems of War is. It's in a very good space in regards to actually being able to build your team up. You just got to put in the time. That's really what it comes down to. If you put in the time, you actually build your team up, it's good, and you could compete with the big boys even as a mid-tier. And that's exactly where I'm at. I'm at 1102, as y'all can well see. I'm a mid-tier. Most other people may be below me. That's why I said I give you my perspective from a mid-tier perspective. And from a lower tier perspective, I am not sitting at 1500. I have not been playing this game consistently for 5 years. I am not a VIP. I am not any of those things. I don't invest any additional money into it, where I know every other YouTuber and Twitch streamer who actually plays this game, who actually is on camera, they actually do. They are actually a VIP. They actually drop some money into this game. They actually play this game a lot longer. I'm just a mid-tier. I just give you my perspective on the game that I actually think is a pretty fun game, and I've been playing for a period of time. I just got back into the game about 6 months ago, probably a little bit less than that. And I just think the game, that is a really fun game. It's in a good spot. I just hope that they don't change it, because if they do change it, I probably will change and go into a different direction with a different game probably. But this game is actually really a good one. So, like I said, is YouTubers, Twitch streamers good and bad? The answer is yes. I think it's 90% good, 10% bad. You'll see more in the comments. So when y'all get a chance to see this, whether you're on the Twitch stream seeing it, I appreciate y'all rocking with your boy. If you are watching this on YouTube at a later point in time, y'all can leave comments below what y'all think. But y'all know who I am. Let me get up out of here. Y'all know who I am. I'm Mr. True Indeed, of course. Y'all know who I represent. It's the Holy Circle Gaming. Like always, it's God above everything. Till the next time, family. We'll do it again soon. Salute.